Welcome back to Andersen Acres on this rather blowy day where it is definitely going to rain. So, today I want to talk about something that every single farmer, homesteader, and hobby farmer has to go through at some point. No one gets a free pass on this one, and that's the learning curve of farming, regardless of the type of farming you're diving into. Now, I don't care how many books you've read or how many YouTube videos you've binged or how many Pinterest boards you've filled with pretty barns and happy animals. You're going to make mistakes. And honestly, that's not only okay, it's part of the process. Farming is something that you learn by doing. It's a lifestyle where the best lessons are taught by mud and weather and stubborn animals, not by tidy diagrams and perfect blog posts that are curated to make you think it's all sunshine and rainbows. People sometimes ask me, how do I know when I'm ready to start farming? And the truth is, you're not. You will never be, not completely. You will never be ready. You can and should prepare. You can and should research. I'll always tell people to do their homework. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepares you for the moment you're standing in the middle of your yard with one boot stuck in the mud, a fence post dangling in your hand, and a goat rope in the other because your animal has decided that today is the day to test your patience, and you're all out. That's when the real learning begins. One of the biggest parts of the learning curve is the skills. You might think you're signing up to feed some chickens and maybe plant a few vegetables and collect some eggs and call it a day. But before long, you're a plumber because the water line froze overnight and the animals still need water. You're a carpenter because the beautiful pen you built last spring, well, it needs patching thanks to the curious goats who thought the grass looked greener on the other side. It isn't greener on the other side. And you're suddenly a vet tech, standing there with a thermometer in your hand, Googling symptoms at midnight because your rabbit doesn't look quite right. And somehow, without even realizing it, you've also become a full-fledged gardener, battling weeds and pests and trying to remember what companion planting means when your tomatoes are already halfway grown. And let's not forget, you may even have to dabble in electrical work because your heat lamp will absolutely quit working on the coldest month of the year. I promise the coldest day of the year, whatever heat method you're using, it'll quit. That's why we stopped using them, because it never fails. The absolute coldest day of the year when you actually could use that heat, it happens. Nothing says farm life quite like standing in your barn, wrapped in 3 coats and 3 sets of gloves, holding a flashlight in your teeth, trying to figure out why your power isn't working in your barn anymore. It's interesting, and it's usually a chicken's fault. Blame a chicken. A chicken did something. I don't care if the chickens are not currently in that barn. It's the chicken's fault. But all of this is the reality that nobody tells you when they sell you on the idea of the simple life. There's a reason it's not for everyone. And we definitely should not be telling everybody that they should abandon their lives in the city and go start a farm. Because, frankly, it's hard. It's difficult to master. You never really get the hang of it, and it's definitely not the life for everyone. Sure, it's rewarding and beautiful, and I will never deny that. I will never deny that I spend more hours out here in a day than pretty much anyone could. I work from home, and most of the time, if it's not raining or snowing, I sit here and I work where I can hang out with my animals. I will never deny that it's a beautiful, picturesque existence. But it's also hard. It's 1,000 small jobs you never pictured yourself doing, all packed into one. And it's important to recognize that before you get started so you're not caught off guard. And you're going to make mistakes. Oh, so many mistakes. No matter if you grew up on a working farm, if you grew up in the city, if you have done 23 years of research, you're going to make mistakes you didn't even know could be made. You'll buy the wrong feed and then wonder why your animals aren't thriving. You'll plant seeds too early and watch frost wipe them out overnight. You'll do that one, even if you've been gardening for 20 years. You're still going to be like, I'm sure it's safe now. We all do it. You'll cut a fence too short and then watch your animals gleefully march right through the gap you left as if it was a personal invitation for them to go explore the neighborhood. Yeah, been there too. Hi, Blue. Beautiful. You're a beautiful boy. Yeah. There he goes. He's a beautiful boy. And you'll spend hours stacking hay bales in the wrong spot, only to realize that if you leave them there, they're going to mold because you didn't lift them off the ground with the pallets that you collected. So now you got to unstack them and put the pallets down, restack them, put the tarp on them, and then you realize you didn't get a tarp. So back to the hardware store you go. And if you're like me, you'll have a miniature horse named Shadowfax who will let himself out just to parade around the yard. Because apparently being locked in like everyone else is just beneath him. So he would rather free range like the wonderful, beautiful horse he is. And you know what? Every single one of the mistakes that I've made along the way and that you'll make along the way teaches you something. Some of them sting. Okay? Some of them really hurt. Some of them make you laugh out loud. Some of them make you cry in the moment. But you won't forget them, and you'll never make that exact same mistake twice because you will have learned. You are growing and learning, and you'll find all new mistakes to make tomorrow. So don't worry that you'll run out of mistakes. There's new ones to make tomorrow. Now, all of this doesn't mean that research isn't important. Research is so important. It matters more than almost anything other than the willpower to get it done. Research gives you a foundation. It keeps you from making the really big, dangerous mistakes. And when I talk research, I mean fact-based, not I think this, therefore I'm going to go look up resources to back me up. I mean actual fact-based research. That gives you the framework. And it will keep you from making the most dangerous mistakes, the ones that put your animals at risk or could cost you an entire harvest. Okay? That is a lifesaver, yes. But no matter how much you research, farming is going to throw you curveballs. Research is your map, okay? It's your framework. It's your guideline. Farming itself, that's the actual terrain on the map. Terrain always has hills and potholes and the occasional wild animal crossing your path that aren't on the map. So the map is important. The research is vitally important to a functioning hobby farm. However, without the experience, that map means nothing. So you need both. Do fact-based, actual, real research that doesn't just back up what you think or tells you what you want to hear. And then execute it. And while you're executing all of that, you'll find new mistakes. You'll find things that can go wrong that you didn't think could go wrong. It's just the way it is. But the best part is that over time, that steep part of the curve, that learning curve where you seem like you're climbing a mountain, it does start to level out. Skills stack up. You'll be surprised one day when fixing a broken fence, you suddenly don't panic. Okay? The first time that fence broke, you're like, oh God, what am I going to do? Oh no, I don't know how to fix this. But by the 10th time it breaks, you'll realize I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. And you'll just do it. You'll do it quickly. You'll do it efficiently. And that fence will be fixed. You'll recognize signs of illness in your animals so much earlier. And you'll have the supplies on hand. Or you'll know that now's the time I should call the vet. If I wait, this is going to get bad. You will have the experience under your belt to not make those constant mistakes. Thank you, Blue. It's right. We don't want to make constant mistakes. You're a good boy. So you'll catch yourself building something and think, wow, a few years ago, I would have had no idea how to even start this project. I wouldn't know how to put it together. And all of a sudden you're doing it without problem. What feels overwhelming at the beginning of your journey will suddenly seem second nature. And it happens overnight in your head, but really it's been a building process. Plenty of time spent gathering that information and applying it. And all of that adds up. And that's one of the most satisfying things about farming. The pride that comes from figuring it out yourself. The feeling of looking back and realizing just how much you've grown. It's really incredible. Nobody hands you a diploma in farming, okay? But you'll know you've graduated when you can stop asking, can I do this? And start saying, I've done this before. I can handle it. I know what to do. So if you're thinking about starting a farm, or if you're in your first year and feeling a little bit overwhelmed, remember this. Mistakes are not failure. Mistakes are the tuition you pay for the education of farm life. You are going to get things wrong. Things will go wrong. You are going to have days where nothing works. You are going to have mornings where you wonder why you even signed up for this, and where you think you're just going to throw in the towel, you're exhausted, and you just don't want to do this anymore. But you will have moments where spark crows beautifully in the background. But you'll also have your moments of pure, unadulterated joy. You'll look at your animals grazing, or pull fresh vegetables from the garden, or bake bread from your own harvest and think, yeah, this is why I do it. This is why I'm doing this now. The learning curve is steep, I know, and it's intimidating at the beginning, and it's a hard, rough climb. But the view from the top is worth every single slip and stumble you make along the way. And don't let anyone fool you. You will have people, especially with social media, who pop into your feed and they seem like they know everything and they've always known everything, but they didn't. They started out just where you are now. Even if you grew up on a farm, even if you are from an agricultural family, even if you, like myself, have spent your entire life living in an agricultural area and surrounded by people who knew all the stuff, you still will have your own learning curve. You still have your own climb to make. And you shouldn't be afraid to make it. It takes time, but you'll get it. You'll figure it out. That's what people do, right? They face a challenge, they figure it out, and they move on. And it's no different with farming. You will figure it out because you have to figure it out. You have decided this is what you're doing, and you have to figure it out. That is about it for me here today at Andersen Acres, because it's starting to rain. So what about you? What's one farm or homesteading mistake that you've made that taught you a lesson you'll never forget? Drop it in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your stories, because we've all been there. We have all made those mistakes, and sharing them might help someone else prevent their own mistake. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and we'll see you tomorrow.